It's Liam Alexander Stewart here from Impact Wrestling, joined today by the star of Impact Wrestling's iconic X Division, the second youngest X Division champion in history, the 2021 Super X Cup champion and two-time Impact End of Year Award winner for Match of the Year and X Division Star of the Year. It's none other than the inevitable Ace Austin. Ace, how are you doing today?
I'm great. I don't even have to rattle off any of my accolades. You just took care of them. Usually I go down the list, people try to shorten it. There's no reason to shorten it. All right.
Exactly. I think the way that your career is going just now, give it another year or two and the full interview will be taken up by just listing off your accolades. We're racking them up left, right, and center. It's an interesting one for sure. But it's interesting we mention accolades there, because one of the things I want to talk about, and I think it might actually be up on that wall somewhere behind you, is the Rookie of the Year award you got, or Rookie of the Year back in World Extreme Wrestling.
Yeah. 14. That one is right up there.
Right up there. There it is. I knew it was up there somewhere. It's I want to talk a little bit about the beginning of your career, because we know you're doing fantastic stuff in Impact just now. You've got the big title defense coming up at Rebellion that we're going to talk about, but you graduate the CZW dojo. You're wrestling for the legendary Anoa'i family. What was it like working with them and wrestling like within such an intense environment? Because we've heard a lot about, some crazy stories coming out of there and how tough it was. Do you think that's really helped shape you become the incredible performer you are? And have you got any sort of funny stories you can share from them?
Even more so than just working with them, that information is actually slightly inaccurate. I think somebody has recently fixed it on Wikipedia. I'm not sure if they have or not. But I wasn't trained by the CZW dojo. I did not graduate from the CZW dojo. I was originally trained by the Anoa'i family at the Wild Samoans. So that's where my roots are. That's where my foundation is. And I have always said that it was the perfect foundation. Training with the Wild Samoans is I truly believe is what set me up for such great success. The foundation that they gave me was just unbelievable. Working with CZW after that is what then got me kind of broken into the indies and like really exploring the world of wrestling, outside of WWE.
Yeah.
I started training with the Wild Samoans. I was training with WWE in mind. As a kid, that's all I really knew growing up. That's all that really, that was the mainstream, so like that was just at the forefront of my mind. So when I was looking for training schools and I found the Samoans, I thought it was going to be as simple as sign up for training, bust my ass, and then get a job at WWE. That was going to be it. And that very well could have been the route that I took if I would have stayed with the Samoans. But it was the time that I spent traveling on the East Coast with the CZW then is what really opened my eyes to what wrestling can be outside of WWE. Just how much I was meeting all these guys that were such successful independent wrestlers. Like CZW was still a big deal in 2016 when I had first showed up. End of 2015, 2016. So meeting those guys and seeing them make a living on their own, and then learning about like all these other routes into like Impact and stuff with ROH, and just like it's really what I knew of Impact's existence, obviously, when I was a little older, but it's not something I watched regularly growing up. Like unless Jeff Hardy was involved, it's not something that I really noticed. And I was never like an internet kid. So even when the internet was a big deal growing up, I didn't spend a lot of time surfing and like looking those things up. The only thing I was exposed to was WWE pretty much. So my love for wrestling has only really grown in such a deep way since I've started training because of the way that my eyes have been opened. My goals completely changed when I started getting out there and really experiencing this for myself. So that foundation with the Samoans is really like bar none, just the perfect professional wrestling foundation, because like they teach you not only the basic movements that you need to know, but the way that they teach you everything is in such a, you learn to pay your dues. You learn to respect the business and respect those that came before you, and you learn how to carry yourself in professional settings, and you learn how to talk to people, and just working under that lineage really makes you feel like you're a part of something, and that and once you're in with that family, it's like those are connections that you can have for the rest of your life, and they're such important connections. Just because I trained with the Samoans years later in 2018, then after I had moved to the Midwest and I hadn't been around in a while, I just get a phone call one day. Hey, do you want to do extra work for WWE? Just because I was a Samoan kid and they knew that I was doing well and that I was living in the Midwest. WWE was coming to the Midwest. So Samoans gave me a call and they were like, hey, WWE's coming to the Midwest. If you want to do extra work, we can set it up for you. So that's how I got in. That's how I got to do the 205 Live gig in 2018. That's how I got into the extra work. And then I did a tryout match, and then the tryout match is what got me the 205 gig. But but that was all because of my connection with the Samoans. So that's so being able to tell people I was trained by the Samoans will always get me just a little bit extra not of trust, of respect from people in the industry.
I think it's interesting that you talked about like them teaching you to pay your dues and things, because you know you're still incredibly young, and one of the things that you often read about with sort of younger wrestlers, any promotion anywhere in the world, is sort of attitude issues or things like that. But with you, it's golden reviews. It's A++ all round. You know, everyone talks about how respectful you are in the locker room. You know, Impact has such a stacked locker room with veterans. You know, Tommy Dreamer, Rhino, the like, and nobody's had a bad word to say. And I think, you know, it's a credit to the Anoa'i, the Samoan training that you've had. And I think it's clear to see.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about sort of your career initially and what you had planned and the exposure to the independents changing that. We mentioned there when we rattled off all your achievements, you know, 2-time X Division champion and such. You've achieved a lot in Impact Wrestling. You're currently the X Division champion on this Sunday at Rebellion. You're going to defend that title against Josh Alexander and TJP. Assuming you successfully defend that title, we say you do. We'll say it's inevitable. We say it's happening. You know, we don't want to get off on a bad foot here. What's next for Ace Austin? What is your plan for Impact Wrestling in 2021?
I haven't forgotten, and I certainly hope you haven't either, and I certainly hope that anyone watching has not forgotten. I vowed to become the youngest world champion in this company's history, and I have until August to do that. And the way I see it, these stars are lining up. Okay, the X Division title is the ace up my sleeve. Option C is going to give me that last chance to make that youngest world champion thing happen. So that's So whether I retain the X Division, if I retain the X Division title, then I've got my ticket. If I don't, I'm gonna have to work a little harder, but inevitably, I'm gonna vie for that world championship at least one more time before my time is up to become the youngest.
Well, I think that is something that a lot of the fans around the world are going to hope to see. But to get there, to keep that plan C, to keep that ace up your sleeve, you do have to get past two very tough opponents that you know very well. In fact, you know, you've got a very storied history with TJP. And interestingly, I want to talk about Josh Alexander a bit, because you have a history with him as well, but a lot of it's taken place in sort of tag team action. You know, yourself and Fulton versus him and Ethan Page within the North. He's obviously an incredible athlete. I just want to know how far you think he can go as a single star breaking out, and if he's possibly one of the toughest challengers you've had for your X Division title, just due to simply his incredible size and power.
I'm glad you used the word toughest, because that really is what I think of when I think of Josh Alexander. Despite even looking past his, you can't look past his technical prowess. Okay, like him and TJP both are like strategically, mechanically, some of the absolute best to ever do it. And the thing about Josh Alexander is what sets him apart from everybody else, besides that technical ability even, is that toughness that he has. Him and Ethan Page were so successful together, and it's really easy to just think that he'll flounder in a singles setting because Ethan Page was the mouthpiece, right? Ethan Page was the voice of the North. But Josh you can't look past how damn tough he is. He was the marathon man of that team. He was the one that could go, and just not be stopped. So I think that is going to be, I think, my biggest threat in this match is what will it take to keep Josh Alexander down? Because I've seen him go through, I mean, his career, the things that he's been through, the broken neck, being so close to retirement and having to just give it up and then fighting back from that. I can't compare anything I've been through to that yet. He has a longer career than I do, and he's been through those kinds of injuries more so than I have. But I think I have the superstar edge. I think that Josh Alexander doesn't know what it's like to be underneath the lights and under the pressure that I've been under. And I know how to operate in those spaces. He relies on his toughness and his technical prowess. I rely on my ability to adapt around those things. I don't put myself in any sort of box. I leave myself totally open to whatever it's going to take to win. There's no such thing as a fair fight. If you ask me, there's no such thing as a fair fight. It's the win or the lose. However you get there is how you get there. So, yeah, I mean, so that's what I got to do.
Definitely, and I think it is going to be a fight for the ages that people are very much looking forward to, and definitely show stealer material. We talked a little bit about obviously toughest challenger and such, and when it comes to X division competition, you've beaten and faced off against some of the biggest names around. You've taken on the likes of Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, you've taken on Petey Williams, you've taken on all of these names. But one X division champion we've never seen you take on, who recently has become available, is Samoa Joe. Now, I think for many, Ace Austin versus Samoa Joe is the match that they want to face. Is Samoa Joe someone you'd be interested in seeing back in Impact and facing on?
No doubt about it. I've been compared to AJ Styles for the entirety of my career so far. So to have that 21st century Samoa Joe versus modern day AJ, I think would be a marquee for sure.
100%. And I think it's one that fans are kind of licking their lips at the prospect at. So, fingers crossed we see it unfold this year or when we can for sure. But let's talk a little bit more about Rebellion, because it's one of the biggest shows of the year. It's a big show in Impact's calendar, and we've got a monumental main event. But elsewhere on the card, we've got the Impact's Knockouts Championship being defended. Deonna Purrazzo, similarly to you, the cornerstone of her division, despite her young age at just 26. Yourself holding down the X Division Championship, Deonna holding down the Knockouts Championship at both such young ages. Just how impressed have you been with her since her return to Impact Wrestling in 2020? And do you see that sort of similarity between the two of you?
Absolutely. I definitely stay focused on my own lane. So I didn't really think of that comparison, but you saying it, it's totally there. I can see it now that you said it for sure. I got some beef with Deonna, to be honest with you. I got some beef with Deonna Purrazzo. Okay. I don't think she should have won Wrestler of the Year over me. I think there's something we're going to have to fight about.
I think people would pay to watch that for sure. I think people would definitely, maybe put it on the line. That's, I think, what we should do about that one.
Yeah.
But we've mentioned it, the big main event for Rebellion. You've got a little bit more interest in this than a lot of other people in the roster. We mentioned that option C, but also you recently sat down with Chris Van Vliet and we talked about your dream opponents, and you've talked about it, Gary. I'm not going to ask you for your dream AEW opponents tonight. Don't worry. You've been asked it about 500 times by now.
Oh, yeah.
And amongst the names like Pac and everything, we've got Kenny Omega versus Rich Swann, title versus title. You've got that ability to affect the future following that match. First of all, who do you see walking out of that match victorious? You back in your Impact man and Rich Swann, or do you think Kenny Omega's got it? And if Kenny Omega was to win and you were to take that opportunity, use that X Division opportunity, do you think one-on-one for the Impact Championship, do you think you can beat Kenny Omega?
Well, I say yes. I don't go into any match situation thinking I can't do it, you know? So me versus Kenny Omega one-on-one, I have to say, inevitably, it's Ace Austin. But the thing about Kenny Omega, it's never going to be one-on-one, is it? You know, the odds are heavily stacked against Rich. And as much as I respect, admire, and really have love for Rich Swann, I don't know if he's going to be able to like overcome this numbers game. I mean, it's really like we're on home turf here with Impact, but we've got a mole. I think everybody's kind of forgetting about that. We've got Don Callis, who is one of the people in charge of Impact Wrestling, and he's a mole, right? He's on the other side of it. Well, not on the other side of this. He's on his own side of this, and we don't know what that means. We don't know what the outcome of this Don Callis wants, because whatever Don Callis wants, I'm sure he's going to have Sunday at Rebellion. So really, this is a win-win for Ace Austin, I think, regardless of who comes out of this. If it's Rich Swann, then you're going to have, and I've been saying this forever, Ace Austin versus Rich Swann is the kind of match that defines, generations. I truly believe. And it's a match that hasn't happened in Impact Wrestling yet. So if he keeps the world championship, you're going to see a once-in-a-lifetime matchup between two athletes like myself and Rich Swann for the world championship. It's going to be huge. And if Kenny comes out the other side, well, then same thing. You're going to see the youngest, brightest star of the 21st century in me going up against the person who many argue is the greatest to ever do it. The person who is, and after Rebellion could potentially still be, at the very top of the industry. So it's a win-win scenario for me. Either way, it's a big money match. It's bright lights. It's millions of viewers, and it's the space where Ace Austin thrives. As I've said before, when those lights turn on, nobody does it like I do. I don't bend to pressure. I don't get nervous before my matches. I don't get little butterflies in my stomach. Like, this is what I do. This is what I live for. And every ounce of me bleeds pro wrestling. I am at my most natural state when I'm in front of the camera, when the lights are on. So,
well, thank you so much, Ace. Thank you very much, Simon and Impact, for sorting this out.